Grinders, big boy NBA DFS slate, 12 games on layaway. Happy hump day, happy holidays in advance. Myself and Will, the chief, talking for an hour and a half, give or take, and we'll be handing it off to the Crunch Time crew. Crunch Time crew is Andre, Keith, and TJ, taking y'all straight up the lock. I just went ahead and dropped the link to the show also in your prop shop, Chief. So hopefully the people in your prop shop, of course, if they're not aware, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, Chiefs Prop Shop. Some channels are free, some are not free. This is a free channel. You are a man of the people. Willa, how's Wednesday treating you? Got a lot of games to break down here. We get a little bit of pleasantries, but not a lot of time for pleasantries, unfortunately, today.
Yeah, man. Spectrum cable. My gosh, internet was down pretty much all day, and really held me back from making, my daily wages. In terms of props and things like that. But nevertheless, we are here, we are present, and we want to help these people make some money. First of all, let me just say that it's a pleasure for me to serve all these fine folks all year long. And so it's Thanksgiving, and so we're really thankful that all of you come in and hang out with us and, take an hour and a half first, out of your schedule to listen to, our shenanigans, but also some analysis along the way. And hopefully it's time well spent. Hopefully it's enjoyable. And hopefully we can make that same thing happen for you today, along with putting a few turkey dollars in your pocket. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And hopefully you get to spend some time with your family. I know I will. And enjoy it, man. Life's short. We see all sorts of weird things happening in the world, on the news, all across the world. And so if you've got a family, and whether they're near or far, pick up the phone, give them a call, tell them you love them. They could not be here tomorrow. And those are the facts. So I'm not going to make this gloomy because it is Thanksgiving. So I'm really thankful for everyone for listening all year round. But I do think it's important to, spend some time with your family. And don't tell anyone. Unplug from DFS.
What? That's terrible advice. On Thanksgiving? I echo your sentiments. Don't say it enough, obviously, but gratitude, very, very important. Incredibly grateful that I get to have this job, and enough people support me, and my company supports me, RotoGrinders, that I get to do this for a living, this nonsense. And it's spectacular. And appreciate y'all watching, hanging with us. What I don't appreciate sometimes is the NBA reporting as far as body parts and as far as injuries. It is a mess today. There are 5 teams in the back half of a back-to-back: Detroit, Denver, Sacramento, Brooklyn, Philly. Denver, potential conditioning issues. We saw Jokic and Murray come back last night from their COVID issues. Smashing, they lost, but Jokic smashed, Murray not so much. But now tonight, they are questionable. A lot of guys are questionable. Scotty Barnes, we got our eye on. Tyler Hero, I believe, is officially questionable for Miami. Jason Tatum, who rarely misses games, is questionable. Bradley Beal is questionable. I'm sure I missed some people in that rundown, but those are kind of the main ones we're keeping an eye on. But if you have an overview, an overarching thought as far as the slate, by all means, share it. No Kawhi and no Paul George. They've already been ruled out. That is the late game. Like, it's, again, 12 games, but, 10 of the 12 start by 8 o'clock. And there's Detroit, Utah. I have a lot of interest in that game, mostly on the Utah side, 9 o'clock. And then Clippers, Warriors, 10 o'clock. All the Warriors, by the way, miraculous. It's a miracle. All the guys that were injured last game, they're all back. They're all healthy and ready to go. A fully staffed Golden State team. But, your thoughts as far as, an overview, if you have anything, or you just want to dive in and break it down and it'll all come up organically.
Well, I think what I will say is, man, we got a lot going on early today, right? Like, that's what I think the big thing in this slate is. Like, I don't think you have enough room, and I could be wrong, but I don't feel like you have enough room on the back end to really make up any ground. Like, if you miss the 7 and 8 o'clock games, like, you might be in trouble. Because it's Golden State and the Clippers, and then it's, Detroit and the Jazz. And not that, we don't want to play anyone for that game, but I mean, you might have to end up with a Lauri Markkanen or a Steph Curry. Not that those aren't great players. Don't get me wrong, but everybody's playing on the front. So I think being able to manage, everybody on the front end of this slate is the key. And so yeah, I think that's how we play this slate.
All right, let's just dive in and break it down game by game. There are 3 games that are at 7 o'clock. The very first one we're going to talk about, it's got a big boy total, and it's high and it's tight. Minnesota, Indiana, 237. Will, that's a nice number. It's an appealing number for sure. 237 is the total. Minnesota versus Indiana. Indiana is getting, I believe, 2 points here at home. Minnesota mostly healthy. Kyle Anderson, slow-mo's got a back. He's questionable. Jordan McLaughlin, questionable with his calf. Neither matter a ton. Isaiah Jackson's questionable with his ankle for Indiana, and Nembhard is questionable for Indiana as well. We'll see. Meaningful incrementally, not a ton. But your thoughts as far as this game right out the gate? For what it's worth, Indiana has played much better defensively of late. If you look at the season-long numbers, they're not spectacular, but I was kind of messing around with them. Like the last 8 games, I just picked that number at random. Third best defensively. Just shout out to them for getting a little bit better defensively. I think they're winning games too, which is got to be frowned upon by management. They're not tanking appropriately. But Minnesota, Indiana, where do you want to start?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to start with, and for what it's worth today, folks, I'm going to mostly cover FanDuel today. Dean's going to cover DraftKings for what it's worth. On FanDuel, I'm actually, very interested in these guys. I mean, you got Edwards at, 7,800. You've got Cat at 9K. I really like those prices. I really like D'Angelo Russell. I don't. So D'Angelo isn't a primary scorer on this team this season. I mean, they've got enough parts. But I think for the price, and the projections aren't great, right? And I understand that. But I think in this spot, though, and I know you're saying they've been playing better. I still like the pace of the game. I still like the total of the game. I think Russell, Edwards, and Towns are able to get there. Rudy Gobert would be the odd man out for me on out of that group. And then on the Indiana side, this is something we talked about last night on the or this morning rather, for the morning grind. I actually like Benedict Mathurin today. Usage has been there. It would be nice if he got 30 minutes. He's close. He's playing, 27, 28 minutes. I'm willing to roll him out there tonight. I'm at 5,400. I think that's a good price for him. I really wish Indiana would just stop playing TJ McConnell. Like, I don't know why we're still playing TJ McConnell in 2022.
You got to see what you have in 30-year-old TJ McConnell. What do you mean?
But I don't know. Yeah, they keep doing this. They've been doing it for years. I mean, the guy's scrappy. I don't dislike TJ McConnell. Scrappy. But man, like what are we doing in the year 2022? But Benedict Mathurin is definitely a guy like. And he's mainly it. Like, I like Tyrese Halliburton. I don't have to sell you on him, but Halliburton and Mathurin, those are my two from the Indiana side.
So no team in basketball, they're actually tied with the Knicks. No team in basketball gives up more made 3-pointers per game than Minnesota. So yeah, I don't hate Mathurin. I don't hate Buddy Hield if you want to go that way as well. You mentioned Rudy Gobert. Don't look. Rudy Gobert, how many shots did he have last game versus my Miami Heat? He had the same amount of shots. He had the same amount of shots as you did, as I did, as Aaron Rodgers did. He took 0 shots. Zero shots.
So do you think he's going to have a little bit of squeaky wheel syndrome tonight and put up 50 shots, Steve?
The offense doesn't really go through him. It's interesting you say that because I saw a clip of and this is just like, I saw somebody post this on Twitter and it was really interesting because just kind of watching the games, Gobert was upset. He was mad at Cat. Like, he was posting somebody up and he thought he had the guy posted up and Cat didn't give him the ball and they didn't score. And he visibly threw his hands in the air. And the next 2 plays, Cat got him involved. He threw a lob to him. No, I don't know how upset he was last game against Miami, but I mean, Bam's obviously a tough matchup. I just think it's worth noting because Gobert, his price is, I don't know, he's ever been 6'5" on DK. 6'5". But if he's just not going to score points in the bucket,
we need him to get 20 rebounds, 5 blocks, 4 steals. Dean, that's what we're looking for here.
I like Cat the best on Minnesota for what it's worth.
Oh, for sure.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. Love Cat.
I don't know if I'm going to get there. I like it. We're looking at. You have on Fanduel 6 to 7% as far as the ownership on DK. We are projecting Gobert to get a ton of ownership because of that price. I say a ton, almost 20% on a 12-game slate. And this ownership, for what it's worth, not been refreshed since 3:00. It will be refreshed soon. Maybe that goes down. Towns at 8%. Isaiah Jackson's getting some ownership. He's questionable too. You mentioned Mathurin. He's getting 5 or 6%. But if you like to take a shot in the guys that hit threes, Mathurin and Buddy Hield are well positioned to do so against Minnesota. Catch the right side of variance of that. And you mentioned Halliburton. I love Halliburton. I think he's awesome. If I have 1, maybe 2 spends tonight, is it going to be Halliburton? Probably not. I like him. I'm not saying you can't play him, but we do get out your bingo cards. We do live in the world with salary cap, so I don't know if I can make that work. He's fine, but I'm not forcing that, if that makes sense.
Understood.
Yeah, just checking out the chat. Yeah. Did I say that Indiana's not tanking properly? I don't think they are. I think it's Houston. Houston is awesome at tanking. They're the number 1 team right now in the tankathon, and I think Detroit's right behind them.
Well, where's Charlotte? As long as we've got a possibility on the Wembanyama sweepstakes, I'm excited.
You're on. Okay, you know what, Charlotte? Yeah, and you know how it works. Like the top 3 teams all have the same percent. They get the number 1. Houston, Detroit, Charlotte are 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
14%.
Come on, Charlotte, get a number 1 pick for a change. Envelopes and balls, don't fail us now.
Oh yeah, he would. I feel like the most fun team to get for him to land on as just a neutral party would be OKC, like him with all that length and SGA.
Oh God, no, we don't need him. We don't need him there. Not with.
You're a Charlotte fan. I get it. Yeah.
Poku, they've got a bunch of young players over there. Give them a veteran. No. Bring Wembanyama to Charlotte. Put him in this system with LaMelo Ball. Fire Steve Clifford again. Go and get a fun coach, and let's have some fun. Like when you're a young team. And I know we got a big slate here. Don't worry, we'll have some catch up games. But when you're a young team, Dean, you need to have 2 things on your side. You need to be fun. Right? And you need to be fun because your city already knows you're not going to the playoffs the first year or 2. So, but if there's hype the first year and you play well, and let's say maybe you finish 10th or something, you're right on the outside looking, and then the next year you're like an 8 seed. Now you're giving the city and the fan base some hope. So, oh, Mitchell Mayo, stop it, Mitchell! Don't do that to us, man. We don't need Wemba going to the Spurs. We need him coming to the Queen City. Come on, guys, back the Charlotte Hornets for once. Back one of the greatest players of all time, possibly one of the worst owners of all time, in Michael Jordan. Please, we need some good fortune here. Probably. Oh, God. What they'll do is they'll pick a 4-year starter and Wembanyama goes second. And
there's no draft.
All right, I'm taking us off the rails. Sorry about that, Dean. You go ahead, brother.
Indiana, by the way, is 10-6. What are you doing, Pacers? Good Lord.
Oh. Well, so there are certain teams that probably they may not care because they've got some. Does Indiana have any picks in this Brooklyn trade or anything like that from the Karis LeVert? Do you know what I'm saying? Do they have anything?
Indiana has Cleveland's pick and Boston's pick, but those are kind of worthless.
Okay. Well, cool. So Utah, who has a number? Who's going to have a pick that's in the top, but they're actually going to be a winning team?
Well,
is it New Orleans?
You're picking New Orleans. New Orleans is going to get. New Orleans might get Wembanyama, which would be amazing. God! If the Lakers keep losing, and the Orlando's got the Bulls pick. And Utah has Minnesota's pick, which is
that's it. Okay, got it.
Utah has Philadelphia's pick also. So Utah is stockpiling for sure. But I was just thinking, Chet Holmgren, Poku, Wembanyama, all that insane length. You got the Dortcher chamber, SGA. Okay,
we don't need that. We don't need that. All right, here we go. We're going to talk about the Charlotte Hornets coming up here in a second. Trust me, this game will be quick, folks. Don't heat your coffee up.
I don't know if it will because, well, we'll talk about Philadelphia. Philadelphia is the more interesting side of this game. Philadelphia at Charlotte, back half of a back-to-back. 214.5 is the total, not a big number. Charlotte happens to be a 4 or 5 point favorite, depending on where you're shopping. But the interesting thing here, not so much the Charlotte side. Ball is out, but he's been out for basically the entire season. Well, a good chunk of it. Cody Martin's still out. But the Philadelphia side, we know Joel Embiid's got that foot, so he can't play. Thibault's out. But Maxey, Harden, their three big scorers are all out tonight. Looks like they have 10 or 11 actual bodies potentially. The prices have been bumped up on Melton, but he's still justifiable. Milton bumped up, but probably the best value play. And then the center position, we saw Harrell draw the start, but then he was just thoroughly outplayed by Paul Reed. He was pretty good to start the game, but Paul Reed, once Harrell stunk in the second half, Reed came on, and he thrived. He was awesome. They could not get him off the court. Awesome fantasy point minute player as well. It's a really interesting spot. Of course, the slate is bigger. Last night, you're probably supposed to play one of those two in tournaments. Presumably they chop up the 40 to 48 minutes. Maybe Tucker plays some 5 as well. But, yeah, because Reed's going to be – people are going to chase Reed. And I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But there's a chance this flips tonight where Harrell's the guy. Or there's a chance that, like, Tucker starts at the 5. That's possible too, but probably not because Charlotte, they have a true big over there and Plumlee playing their 5. What's your take as far as Philly? Because I think Philly's the more interesting team here.
Yeah, I think you just don't even worry about the peripheral pieces tonight. Tobias Melton. That's who you play. I wouldn't worry about Trez. I wouldn't worry about Daniel House. I wouldn't worry about Niang. I wouldn't worry about Korkmaz or Paul Reed. But that's just more of a price thing on FanDuel. Paul Reed is 5,400. So I don't see it. Tobias Harris is 8,400. Is that a little bit more expensive? Yes. Is he probably going to be number 1 or number 2 in shot attempts on this team? Yes. Scored 25 last night and had probably a terrible first half. If he has a good first half, Tobias is going off for 50 here. So I don't hate Tobias, and I think that's how you keep this thing quick. On the Charlotte Hornets side for me on FanDuel, Terry 77, that's okay. Kelly Oubre 72, that's okay. Gordon Hayward is 64, that's okay. But the thing I do like about Gordon Hayward is his minutes haven't gone anywhere. And I was expecting him to maybe be on some sort of ramp up, and then he came right back and played 42 minutes. So welcome back, Gordon Hayward at 6,400. I think he's good value, and I don't hate Mason Plumlee either. So at 5,700, I think that's a really good price. I know Eric S said that Paul Reed is the lock button. It's really just for me on FanDuel. It's got nothing to do with how we feel about it. Like, do we think Paul Reed plays 31 minutes again? I don't know. He could very easily play 20 minutes.
Probably not.
That's really where I sit on Paul Reed at 5,400. So I think in tournaments, definitely, at 5,400 on FanDuel, but that's just kind of where I'm at. Now, guys, and look, everybody. So once again, please keep in mind, I'm covering FanDuel today. Dean is covering DK. So I'm purely talking FanDuel when I'm talking to them. I'm not talking DraftKings at all. So if you know that, then you'll kind of know where to maybe place your comments. So just FYI.
Yeah, 3.7K on DK. It's a different conversation. You said he played 30-plus minutes. He doesn't have to. He's more the fantasy point per minute player, and we like bigs against Charlotte as is. You talk about Plumlee, a guy who I rarely play, but like this Philadelphia team, it's a huge hit defensively, the absence of Embiid, and then whatever Harrell is these days, and Reed as well. So it's a good spot for him. I just don't know what his ceiling may be. But I'm not going to besmirch. You mentioned Gordon Hayward. I'm just a little bit concerned about didn't he re-aggravated that shoulder last game? And he's just
they just keep running him out there for 40 minutes. It's crazy.
I'm just hesitant because he's projected to be really popular, and I don't think I want to be well over that. Yeah, we'll get to that question in a second. Hoosiers hang banners. There's a clear answer there. I'm sure you see the question as well. Will. I don't love the Charlotte side. I think Rozier's fine. Obviously in the absence of Ball, he'll be asked to do a little bit more. 8K on DK. He's a small forward on DK too, shooting guard / small forward. I think it's fine if you want to run somebody back in this game. And I don't know how much read I'm going to have. And if he's 31% owned, like almost definitely not starting the game. There's a chance he only plays like 18 minutes. Foul value should open up. It's a 7:00 game. I'm not here to like talk it away, and right now it's a really good play. Like that's your cash game play, but maybe in tournaments I might be a little apprehensive. We'll see. Stay tuned on that. Did you have? And I think Milton is the best value play outside of Reed, and it's a little bit safer. Should be playing 35, 36, 37 minutes. I know it's the back half of back-to-back, but they're really, really thin there in Philadelphia. If you want to throw a dart at Korkmaz, they dusted him off last night. He got the most run he had the entire season. I think he played 20 or 21 minutes. They're going to need him to play 20 minutes again tonight, presumably. There's Niang as well, but Korkmaz, the reason why he's interesting is he's stone minimum 3K on DK. I believe Niang is distinctly more. Yeah, he's 4.6, which is just much harder to justify. You got anything else in this game, or shall we move forward?
No, absolutely. We're good. I think we got another semi-catch-up game here, so excited to talk about this one briefly.
I know you wanted to answer this one, though. Any interest in PJ Washington, though? Stan wants to know. Did you mention Washington? I think he's fine.
Nah, not on FanDuel. I mean, he's 6,600. I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, so his price on DK is much better. He's 5.8 there, which I think is really playable. I don't need it, but he's in my pool if I'm running 100 lineups.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Pumpkin, pecan, or apple pie? There's a clear answer here, Will. Come on, let's not screw this one up.
Mine is apple, but that's my favorite. Apple pie is my favorite pie of all time. So that's where I'm going. My fiance does like pecan pie for what it's worth.
She's a keeper.
And I do have an affinity for strawberry pie in the summer, but apple is absolutely my favorite.
What do you mean in the summer? It tastes better when you eat it in July?
Well, I'm sorry. Whenever it's in season. Let me say that. Sorry. I said the summer, but whenever it's in season.
I just like when the people have the pumpkin spice or whatever. Like pumpkin spice tastes just the same in like March, doesn't it? Whatever. Right? We have 12 games late. We have no time to get off the rails. But I didn't realize strawberry season summer. You can get strawberries year round, can't you? I feel like I can.
Thanks, Michael. I thought it was the summer, but hey, it is what it is.
All right.
I don't want to argue with the host here.
No, feel free to argue. I stand corrected. I didn't know that that's the only time that pie was available. It's the Montrezl Harrell revenge game. I forgot he even played for Charlotte. That feels like 4 teams ago. I feel like he's been with like 7 different teams. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Lakers, Clippers, Philly, Houston, Charlotte. All right. Last game at 7:00. It's Portland and it's Cleveland. This feels like a potential blowout on layaway. Portland, of course, without their main player and Damian Lillard. We are expecting Josh Hart to be available. Cleveland is without a couple of their pieces. No Karis LeVert, Kevin Love. He's got a thumb, so he cannot play. They are getting Dean Wade back, another big. He's got a knee. He's probable. Just in the mix. Might grab a few minutes there. This is a tricky game, man, because, again, if I only have so many spends, am I going to go out of my way and spend up on Donovan Mitchell at 9.6? I'm not here to say you can't play Donovan Mitchell, but 9.6. I will say if this game is close, Mitchell and Garland play close to 40 minutes some nights. They don't play tomorrow. It's an island game for them. So if you want to play that game, by all means. I don't love the run backs on Portland. You can play Simons, of course. If you want to bet on Nurkic finally doing something, this is not the matchup necessarily. Cleveland's really tough inside. What's your thoughts as far as Portland-Cleveland?
Well, I think on FanDuel, I do like Nurkic a good bit at 6,100 just because he may be necessary for the bigs. The Cleveland doesn't play for the bigs, so that's really more of a comparable play. Not that it's optimal, but I think Nurkic 61 when he's going to see bigs all game. I think that's in play for me. Who's out of play is Anthony Simons at 8,300. Now, if this game stays close, he's probably necessary. But I'm going to bank on him, maybe getting 40 to 45. On a 12-game slate, I can stomach 40 to 45 from Anthony Simons and not worry about it at all. I do think Darius Garland is sneaky. And I will say this is what I'm gonna do a DraftKings FanDuel comparison. On DraftKings, I would probably lean a little bit more Donovan Mitchell than Garland if I was gonna play. On FanDuel, where Garland is 83 and Mitchell is 96, and there's a huge price disparity, Darius Garland is definitely, I think, a better investment than Donovan Mitchell. And that's about it for me, Dean. Like I said, this is a catch-up game. I don't really want to, get too involved in this one, but I think just a few shares of Garland on FanDuel, Mitchell on DK, and then that's about it. Like, I'm not really interested in Portland outside of Nurkic as well.
Yeah, he's cheap. 6'1" is pretty cheap for his price, for his ability, but his minutes, they just rarely ramp it up. We are projecting 30 minutes for him. Playable. By the way, just worth noting, we have Isaiah Jackson ruled out for Indiana, one of their bigs, and Nembhard was ruled out for Indiana. We did get an update as far as lineup HQ. If you want to refresh that, hopefully it doesn't do anything goofy with your video feed. Indiana still has plenty of bodies inside. They still have Jalen Smith. Miles Turner still plays 30 minutes. They have Brissett, Gogo Bataze. They can dust him off theoretically. There's some other other bigs they have. Taylor, sometimes they don't play big, but you're not playing those guys. I'm just trying to think if anybody else gets elevated. Jalen Smith might have to play upper 20s, but all right, let's move on. Let's talk about the. Oh wait, what's going on in chat? They're just naming all sorts of pie. Does frog leg pie exist? And that sounds like something. If it does, it probably exists in the South, but I can't say I have any experience with frog leg pie. Am I missing out? Are you aware of frog leg pie?
Yeah, that's not something I'll be dipping my toes into, Dean. Frog leg pie. I'll be passing on that one for sure. I
don't know what tempeh is. TEMPEH. Maybe I'm not cultured enough. I don't know. Bobby Boucher loves some frog leg pie. Yeah, I can see that for sure. And of course, Devin, producer Devin's hanging out. He's got to chime in and talk about the tofu pie. I believe is what he's talking about. So, okay. The Mud Dogs, right?
Oh yeah.
I could have been in that movie. I could have been an extra, and I slept it. It was filmed at the Citrus Bowl when I was in Orlando at the time. All right, let's move on. Right, we're done with these 7:00 games. Let's talk about the next game on the slate. Back half, go back to back for Brooklyn and Toronto. 225.5 is the total. Toronto is a 2-point favorite here. Worth noting on the Toronto side, we're not really certain. We don't know about the body parts as far as I believe Scotty Barnes, last we saw, is questionable. I don't believe that has changed. I'm looking for that ferociously online on the Twitter. He's questionable. We expect Trent and Boucher to be available. They were ill last game. Banton had the fish as well. He's still questionable. Otto Porter obviously still out without his foot. Yuta Watanabe is not playing basketball tonight. He's got a hamstring, and Seth Curry ruled out because of injury management. They should rule out Joe Harris too, because that guy looks dreadful this year. He got paid and he got hurt, and it's unfortunate, but he's been a complete stone disaster. We saw Ben Simmons have a nice game last night. That was the one positive, I suppose. Interesting they did not start. They started him alongside Claxton. He's played a lot of 5 this year. Last night, Claxton and Simmons both drew the start. I don't like Brooklyn as a general thought. Back half of a back-to-back. Toronto's kind of a tough team. If I have one big spend, it's almost definitely not going to be Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving. Do you like Brooklyn on this slate? Because I mostly don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, Brooklyn is with Simmons, Irving, and Durant back. Brooklyn is just not as appealing because I think we're seeing, as Ben Simmons continues to get healthy and back into playing shape in the league itself. I definitely think it's going to be an impact on Kyrie and Durant overall. Now, of course, it's Kyrie and Durant. There are going to be games where they're on, and you have to say, "Hey, man, give me the ball, let me run." But at 8,700, Kyrie's not great value. At 10.8 for Durant on FanDuel, it's not great value. At 7,600, for Ben Simmons, maybe he's still okay, but that's getting close for him because we're not going to continue to Well, I will say this. If Ben Simmons can score 15 points a game every game and pick up 8 to 10 rebounds and 8 to 10 assists every game, he's going to be good for this team. But, we can't expect that from him every game. Scoring is not his MO. It's the other things. It's the rebounds. It's the assists, the stocks. And, we can't predict that every game. So at 7,600 against Toronto tonight, he would probably be the only person that I would play from the Brooklyn Nets. And, and I'm saying that begrudgingly because I know Kyrie Durant could go off at any time.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to make a lot of lineups until I start getting the Durant and Kyrie. Durant presumably runs into some OG Anunoby. I can't run away from great defenders. I'll play some guys still, but OG's just been awesome this year defensively. On DK, Ben Simmons is a much better play as far as the price. He's 6'1" over there. That feels much more palatable.
I mean, that's honestly, that might be close to like button for me at 6,100 on DK. Close. I mean, it is. I'm saying he's probably going to put up 38 to 40 in this spot.
It's good. It's good. I'm a little bit concerned, a little apprehensive. Back half of a back-to-back, coming back from the emotional game last night. It's a long season. Maybe they don't push him if this game gets ugly in some way. But math-wise, it's a really strong play. 6.1 KR projections have him at 34 fantasy points. Ceiling at 45, really solid. Probably he's certainly in your cash game pool on DK. How about Toronto? By the way, Banton was just ruled out for Toronto. Not terribly meaningful. What would be meaningful is if Barnes gets ruled out, but we're still waiting on that. Justice Winslow expected to start ahead of Shaden Sharp. That's kind of interesting. I don't know what his price is, but okay. He was kind of sort of like Winslow was sort of their backup everything there in Portland. Sharp to the bench, the rookie. I'm not sure if we need to revisit that. Probably not. 12-game slate. Just note that. Your thoughts as far as Toronto? I like Freddie. I like Freddie VanVleet at 7.8K. I think he's well positioned. Barnes, if he goes, is fine. OG's fine if he goes as well. They're all in the 7K range. No priorities. I like Freddie the most amongst this group, though, as far as Toronto. And again, things may change if Barnes doesn't go. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I don't want to play anybody from Toronto on FanDuel. Fred is 8K, 88. Gary Trent's 55 minutes are down a little bit. OG's 82. Scotty Barnes 78. I don't like these prices.
Yeah. I mean, if Barnes is all clear and there's no limitations, I really like him at 7.9. I really like Freddie at 7.8. Good getting any of these players. I'm not really sure who's going to be the guy necessarily, but they all look pretty good to me. But otherwise, not much else to talk about here. Shall we move on?
Absolutely.
Okay, Dallas.
Here we go. This is an important one here.
This is the important one? Is it?
I said this is an important one.
Okay, yeah. I'm ready. I'm happy to yield. So Dallas versus Boston. Dallas is fully healthy with the absence of Maxi Kleber. Dinwiddie has his shoulder, but he's likely to play. Boston, of course, without Robert Williams. Tatum is questionable, which is a big one. He seems to never miss games, but if he doesn't, basically everybody gets elevated to various degrees. I would say the most appealing elevation would probably be Jaylen Brown. Maybe White jumps in the starting lineup. That kind of makes sense. I don't know if they become full priorities. Dallas, tough matchup. They play slow. 218.5 is the total. Boston 4-point favorite. In Dallas, it's almost always Luka or bust. He's 12.8 on DK. I know I think he's 12K on FanDuel, which is a little bit more palatable. You sound more excited about this game than I do, so I'm going to yield.
Yeah, so what's happening is if if Tatum is out, then I think that's going to open this thing up a little bit more than we think. And this actually has nothing to do with Jaylen Brown for me, because Jaylen Brown is already priced up to where even if he hits a ceiling game, I think we're okay. So, for instance, Jaylen Brown, on any given night, I feel like his ceiling is 50, right? He's not a 60, 70-point fantasy scorer in a general sense. And so at 8,500, if Tatum gets ruled out, here's what I'm going to let everybody do, Dean. I'm going to let everybody pile up on Jaylen Brown because that's what everybody's going to do. And it's not that Jaylen Brown's a bad place. I don't want you to think that. He's 100. Like, he needs 45 for me to feel really good about playing him. And he could probably get 50 in the spot. But Marcus Smart is going to take some shots. Malcolm Brogdon or Derek White are going to slide into the lineup. They'll take some shots. And Derek White's already 6K on FanDuel, so I don't want to play him either. But I'll really be interested in Brogdon. I think I might have some slight interest in Hauser. I think I'll have a little bit more interest in Grant Williams. And those would kind of be the pieces that I look at. I might even play a little bit more Al Horford. Just some of these secondary cheaper pieces. Jaylen Brown, I don't care. Like, they're playing Dallas. It should be a fairly tough defensive matchup anyway. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I like Jaylen Brown as a player. But do we think Jaylen Brown is going to score 40 points tonight? I don't think so. I still think I still think maybe he scores 28 to 30 real points. And I think Brown is Smart and Williams. I think these other guys, Hauser, I think they pick up the slack. And that's how I see this game going. I could be wrong. But that's how I feel like this goes if Jason Tatum is out. If he's in, I don't really want to play anybody from this game but Luka.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. It's really hard to play Luka on DK. Ownership is reflecting that 4% because he's 12-8 and there's some really good stops along the way at 9K and 10K. It's really hard to justify it. Like that's a huge number. He's got to put up, like if you tell me he's putting up 60, I'm not playing him. And that's his median, score.
But that's what I'm saying. Like 60 doesn't help you at all at 12-8. Like it's hurting you actually.
Cross him out. 60, it's an X. I don't need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got to put up like at least 70 to be worth taking a peek at, which he certainly can. He absolutely can. He can put up a 35, 10, 10 triple double. I don't know, in a couple stocks, and I don't know if that gets me there. But nobody as of right now, as far as the ownership, is getting more than 6% on DK. That could and would change, I presume, in the absence of if Tatum happens to get ruled out. Stay tuned as far as that news. I don't know if we'll get it in the show. Maybe it cracks at 6 o'clock. We might see that at 6 o'clock. But as of right now, it's just not terribly interesting for me. Let's move on. Let's talk about we got another update as far as our lineup HQ tool. By the way, if you want to use this lineup HQ tool at your own leisure, you guys are watching the show. A couple things. Thanksgiving is a Black Friday sale, $25 off any package, anything you want. That's like click the banner on RotoGrinders.com, have at it, or you can win yourself a week free, 1 week free, RotoGrinders Premium, not just basketball, all the sports, World Cup going on right now, NFL, PGA, MMA, LOL, sure there's other things I'm missing. Everything with exception of NASCAR. I don't think NASCAR's in season. How do you go about getting that 1 week free? Just go to the Discord channel. Producer Devin is very kind. He's offering 2 individual winners 1 week free for both. RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Hit up the live stream chat channel and just click the button. Click the button and you're eligible. The clock is ticking. It's probably going to be up like in 20 minutes or so. Let me go ahead and check and see where the official time is. He started it a few minutes ago. 20. Well, yeah. Let's just be safe and do it now. Just go over there and click the enter button. It's very, very simple. It's green. Even a big dummy like myself can figure out how to do it, but I'm not going to do it because what if I win accidentally? Then I'm taking away from somebody else. RotoGrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel. Hit the green button. You can get yourself 1 week free of RG Premium. All right, we're moving on, right? Moving on. Sacramento, Atlanta. This is a weird one, Will, because it's awesome, right? 241.5, which is possibly the biggest total we've had on the board the entire season. Atlanta, not a huge favorite, 4.5 point favorite. The tricky part is that everybody is available on both teams. How wild is that? Sacramento is fully healthy. Atlanta is fully healthy. DeAndre Hunter's back from his illness. We're not going to count Bogdanovich. He's coming back soon. He hasn't played all season long. But, yeah, this environment is incredible. De'Aaron Fox has been fabulous. The Kings have been playing too good for their own good. That's a whole other conversation. I love Trae Young. He's one of my favorite big spends in this slate. There's Murray there as well. Collins he's not been great this year, but the price is just cheap enough where I'm now interested at 5.6K just to get him in this game environment. But again, nobody being hurt. 12-game slates, I tend to gravitate to, okay, what team is without 9 players? Okay, that's where I want to target. But this environment is so good. Trae Young is just my favorite spend up today, and I think ownership reflects that. Do you agree? What's your thoughts as far as Young and the Atlantic side?
I mean, I think on DK, believe it or not, I kind of like DeJounte. I know you're talking about DK, and I'm crossing over, but DeJounte's 9K on DK, if I'm not mistaken, right? Is that correct?
I believe so. Yeah, I
think the price difference gives me enough interest in DeJounte now on FanDuel, where it's a lot closer. Definitely think it's Trae Young. John Collins is 5,600. Like he's in that realm now where it's like, okay, just start taking some shots. What I like most about John Collins tonight is the fact that his minutes, Dean, haven't really taken a dip. So he went through, like, earlier this season, he was playing about 34, 35 minutes, and then it looked like he dipped down to like 25 to 28 minutes. And then if you look back now, he's around 33, 34 minutes a game. So I like him a lot. So John Collins at 56, definitely a guy I like. And on FanDuel, it's looking like we're not really projecting him for a lot of ownership, and I think that's really just because of the projection. But at 5,600 in this spot, I don't hate it at all. Hopping over to the Sacramento side, I don't mind De'Aaron Fox at 9,700. I know it's a back-to-back. And then I did see Mitchell Mayo here post about Kevin Huerter revenge game. I don't really care about the revenge narrative as much in this one. What I do care about is Kevin Huerter is playing big minutes, and he's taking a lot of shots, Dean.
He's making them too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what I like most about the Red Mamba here. Taking the shots, making the shots, doing this thing in Sacramento.
It's red velvet, though. Okay.
I'm going with the Red Mamba, and I know the Red Mamba is somebody else. That's the
Spurs.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got this wrong. Thanks for the correction, Dean. Mr. Red Velvet himself, Kevin Huerter, playing in Sacramento. Who, by the way, folks, they're now starting to try and call Sacramento the best team in California. We'll see how that shakes out in the end, but they are better than the Lakers for what it's worth. Sacramento, I think Kevin is my guy at 5,800, and De'Aaron Fox more so for tournaments just because his upside has been immense this season. Outside of that, Dean, I'm not interested. I see where Mr. Richard talked about Harrison Barnes has been heating up, and he has. I think Harrison Barnes is more of a prop play than a DFS play at 5,900. Like, we saw Harrison Barnes light it up last night, had 5 turnovers, and guess what? He ended with 28 fantasy points. I don't care about 28 fantasy points at 5,900 tonight. I want 35 plus. So I think we can pass on Barnes on FanDuel at 5,900, but Huerter at 5,800, who's kind of been hitting mid-30s, I would like to take a shot on him. And the ownership's down. Looks like we got a lot more ownership on the Atlanta side than the Sacramento side, which gets me very excited, even though I know this team is on a back-to-back.
Matt Bonner was the Red Mamba. So
that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I had to Google. I cheated. I couldn't. I knew it. I had it on my brain. It just wasn't coming for some reason. You mentioned Collins. Yeah, the minutes have been pretty good, but the fantasy points, it feels like he's the guy that's taking the biggest hit with the arrival of DeJounte Murray, averaging just 0.88 DK, 0.89 fantasy points per minute. That's certainly down from last year. But again, this game environment and his price is cheap enough where I think he's interesting. Capella, if he can avoid foul trouble, Sabonis certainly draws plenty of fouls, but this does feel like a game that could potentially be a ceiling Capella game. You forget like the what if this bad thing can happen. You're thinking you're playing tournaments, you're playing for first. Think of the optimal scenario. If he plays like 34 minutes and he's just doing what he potentially can do, he can put up like a 15 and 20 and 4 stocks or 5 blocks in a game. Young has been better than Murray from a fantasy perspective, especially on DK. Young 1.29 on FanDuel, but 1.36 on DK when you take advantage of that 3-point bonus. So that's why I really like him on DraftKings tonight. Probably my favorite big spend on this slate. Murray's fine, 1.19, but and certainly he can outscore Young. But as a general rule, like much like I generally would lean Durant over Kyrie, I'm going to generally lean Young over Murray if I can find the extra additional funds. Fox has been spectacular this year, by the way. Just worth noting how awesome he's been. And the reason why this game is such a high total, Sacramento and Atlanta, this is 6 and 7 as far as pace. By the way, worth noting, Minnesota, Indiana, 4th and 5th as far as pace this year. So we have two really, really good pace matchups. Talk about Indiana, Minnesota earlier. This is 6 and 7, two really, really fast teams. Just obviously leans, it's going to give us some fantasy goodness. And Sacramento, as good as they've been playing offensively, poor defensively, bottom 6, I guess, defensively this year. Atlanta, I believe, middle of the pack. Yeah, they're 15th, middle of the pack. I think we should move on, though, but, pretty clearly some interesting pieces in that game. We shall talk about Washington and Miami, which is hard to talk about right now because I'm checking the interwebs. I don't believe we have any updates as far as some of these body parts. Washington is a 1.5-point dog here currently in Miami, 210. 210.5 is the total, 211. I just hit the refresh button. Oh, Freddie VanVleet and Scotty Barnes are ruled out. Wow, that's a big deal. It might be Malachi Flynn season. It could be Malachi Flynn season.
I mean, that's actually probably pretty important because now when you're getting – and I did interrupt you, so please forgive me. But, I mean, when you're getting VanVleet and Barnes out, Gary Trent's probably a lot more interested at 5,500 now on FanDuel. You talked about Malachi Flynn. He's 4,600. Like, now there's your real value play on the slate. So I like that call a lot.
Do we assume he jumped? I'm curious their starting lineup's going to be. And am I wrong to say Freddie had no dead?
Is it Banton? Is Banton out?
He's out also. Yes.
So yeah, miss Malachi Flynn season for sure. Like if Banton was playing, that would be different. But Flynn is definitely going to be the guy.
I mean, Barnes would handle it So FEV's out. Okay, Barnes. Nope, Barnes is out. Okay, Banton. Banton's out. Okay, Malachi Flynn, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think Malachi Flynn, it just looks like he's not stone minimum. He's 4.3 on DK, and you said he's 4.6 on FanDuel. And
it looks like Derek said Tatum is in, so that lets us know about our Boston game and our Dallas game there.
We'll give our projection team some time. Maybe we'll jump back and see what they come up with. I assume Flynn's going to start. We'll see. Stay tuned. Somebody mentioned Boucher. Yeah, sure. Boucher and this Brooklyn team is vulnerable inside as well. He is 6'2", Boucher, which is kind of pricey for him historically, but certainly we've seen him break slates before. He's not a ball handler, obviously, but he's somebody that might be tasked with taking some more shots. They're probably thinner here as far as the backcourt and the wings. Who do they really have? Jeff Doughton. I don't know who Ron Harper is. I remember Ron Harper played in the league like 40 years ago for the Bulls. This is a different Ron Harper, I presume.
It might be Ron Harper Jr.
I don't know. Does he have a kid? I don't know.
All these guys, Scottie Pippen Jr., Ron Harper Jr., Kenyon Martin Jr. Dean, you don't know about this group of guys that all have kids playing basketball?
I know. Yeah, I know. I'm aware of it. Yeah, I didn't know Ron Harper had a kid in the league. That's cool. According to producer Steve, it's well, he says it's JR. I guess that is a junior. All right. So good for him. Michael Jordan's kid's not in the league, but he's doing something with Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. That's a fun conversation if you want to jump on TMZ.
Oh, boy.
He went to UCF, though. I represent. We got derailed. Oh, we were talking about Washington. I was introducing Washington and Miami, and that news broke, so we had to walk it back for a second. Washington and Miami, though, is so Tatum officially in, will not have a minutes limit. Washington, Bradley Beal is questionable. Rui Hachimura is questionable. Monty Morris is questionable. Miami, Jimmy Butler officially out. We're expecting Bam Adebayo to be good to go. The Strus will not be loose. No Max Strus. He's out with his shoulder. What a mess. Jeez. Duncan Robinson's got an ankle now. Dedmon is questionable with his foot. I feel like he's questionable every slate. Vincent's questionable with his knee. And Hero may come back. We'll see. He's got an ankle as well. Nobody on the front end of a back-to-back, so maybe this gives him additional rest. And theoretically, I know Miami's like 7-11, so I don't know how desperate they are to get wins, but probably not going to push it. We'll see. Also, the prices have adjusted, but we've seen Kyle Lowry, when they need him to play 44 minutes, he'll play 44 minutes. If Beal plays in this game, it feels like a game that Beal can really do his thing. If not, there could be some value on the Washington side. this is just a bunch of ifs and whats and that's maybe this, maybe that. I got nothing for you, man. I can't give you any solid analysis though, because it's a whole long list of if thens.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. With you 100.
I mean, do you have anything to say regarding, like, is there anything you're monitoring here, or it's just is there a situation you'd like to see open up?
So, I think mainly, Dean, like if all the guys sit that we maybe anticipated would sit, I'm probably most interested in Kyle Lowry and probably Bam, just because on FanDuel, like, some of these guys are already priced up, so they're not as interesting to me. So that's kind of where I am. And then Kristaps is priced up, but he's been playing great. If Kyle Kuzma, he's priced up, he's going to get going if Beal doesn't play. So I think we just kind of wait on the news on that one. If Beal is in, I'm probably not interested in hardly anyone from the Wizards. If Beal is out, then I think Porzingis and Kuzma are going to lead the way, followed by Deni Avdija. We already know that Hachimura is out, so that's kind of where I am with Washington. But Miami, Kyle Lowry is just
questionable for what it's worth. I don't see Rui.
Oh, I thought he was out. I'm sorry about that, folks. Sorry, please forgive me.
No worries.
Thank you, Dean. But yeah, with Miami though, if most of these guys sit, I think it's back to the 2008 Kyle Lowry. Like let's get it going.
Well, this was the game that we saw several days ago, right? And I think it went to overtime too. I think Porzingis and Beal both had really good games in that game, and that was we saw it on the 18th. Lowry played 51 minutes, and he had his triple double as predicted on the show. By the way, as predicted, we I don't know if you were co-hosting with me that day. We talked about it. Put up a 70 burger. Of course, it was like 7 dudes or 6 guys. They skirted the league rules because they dressed 8 people, but only 7 played because 1 was injured. What are they gonna do? Send everybody home? Like just play some basketball with 7 guys. But yeah, stay tuned. Lowry is 7-7 as far as the asking price, but again, if the predicament calls for him to play 45 minutes or 40 plus minutes, they don't play tomorrow, I wouldn't completely rule him out. And again, he went nuts versus his team when everybody else was out. So just, don't be frightened by that price. If Hero's in, forget it. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about Milwaukee. Milwaukee's playing the Bulls. The Bulls have Goran Dragic. He's got a neck, so he cannot play basketball tonight. Milwaukee is good to go. Everybody's clear. Anybody that's recently been out is back. Middleton's still not ready to make his debut. I think Wesley Matthews might be available. It doesn't really matter. Just sort of noting that. I think he's off the injury report. 224.5 is the total. Milwaukee is an 8-point favorite here versus the Bulls. There's not a lot to get excited about in this game. I like the Levine price a little bit, but, overall this game is pretty meh. If you want to play Giannis, it's kind of the same rules as Luka. He's got to put up a 70 burger. Can he do it? Of course. Can you get excited about Bulls Bucks?
I can. It's not too bad, but I'm not going to. I'm capable. Yes, can I? I'm capable, but I just don't think this is the game. Even Giannis, on FanDuel at 11-8, like, can he put up 60? Yeah, but I'm not thrilled about this price, man. And Giannis, and I think I talked about this on the morning grind as well, Dean. So Giannis comes out, he scored 37 real points the last game, Dean. And so I think my question was, even though you probably already know the fantasy score, if I told you, Dean, Giannis scored 37 tonight, you'd probably say, my God, he must have had a monster fantasy point night, typically, right? And he was in the 50s. And I said, whoa, that's not the Giannis we're used to. So I actually feel like I can pass on Giannis tonight most of this game. Now, Zach LaVine does feel GPP-ish, if you will. Like, there's no reason for DeMar DeRozan to be 8,200 and Zach LaVine to be 6,900 on FanDuel. Like, that, there's no reason for that. Same thing on DK, I think, Dean, because I think LaVine's around 71, and I think, DeRozan's, 8K, upper 7K. Like, there shouldn't be that big of a price gap there. So LaVine is someone I'm interested in tournaments. But outside of that, I'm pretty much at a scratch-off with this game.
All right. Ownership-wise, the only thing we're getting as far as ownership in this game on DK is Vukovic. A little bit surprising, but the price is pretty good at 7.4K. He's in the teens on DK at 14%. Levine at 7.1, 8%. Giannis at 3%. Like, I think it's going to be higher than that, but it'll almost definitely be less than 10%. So certainly if you like Giannis tonight, by all means, go for it. Mr. Richard says in chat, only 23 likes. That's outrageous. I feel like we're crushing this show on top of the news, on top of everything. Like, God forbid you take your finger off the keyboard for 1 second, or maybe what do you have to do to hit the like button? What else are you doing with your hands at this point? Hit the like button. We'd appreciate that. It shows, we have big egos here, obviously, if you can't tell.
Get in the holiday spirit. Hit the thumbs up for us.
Kindly hit that like button, subscribe. You can subscribe. You can turn on those notifications, all the good stuff, so you know when we're going live. We do appreciate that. Steven in chat's asking how many bodies Toronto has. I believe it's 10. We are projecting Malachi Flynn to start. Flynn, Trent, OG Anunoby, Rad Thad Young, and Bo Cruz's brother, Juancho Hernan Gomez, to draw the start. They got Boucher.
Bo Cruz.
You know Bo Cruz, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Listen, I think that was a really good recent movie. I actually like that movie a lot. So
it was fun. It was good. Yeah.
Shout out to Adam Sandler for pulling that one out. Bo Cruz.
And some great random a pile of cameos. Boban was in there.
Trae Young was in that movie. Aaron Gordon, actually kind of a sneaky star in that movie.
Who was the guy? Anthony Edwards was the trash talker, right?
Yeah, Anthony Edwards.
He was really good. He was really good. I feel like he just probably ad-libbed. He did a great job though in that show. Just like my peak here is that it seems like Toronto's got 10 bodies in their bench. Power forward Boucher, center Koloko, center Kem Birch. They're really thin as far as wings. Doughton, point guard, shooting guard. Harper, shooting guard. Man, Malachi Flynn, I think, has got to play a ton of minutes, as is, OG is going to play a ton. That's kind of the way I'm seeing this. Yeah, shout out to Boban in the scene in John Wick as well, too, in the library with a book. Multi-talented Boban Marjanovic. I'm curious what we have. Let's just take a peek since we have a moment. I believe our projection team updated that. I was just looking at our starting lineups, but how many minutes we putting on these guys for Toronto? And I assume they're just going to skyrocket here as far as projections. All right. We are projecting 38 for OG, 36 for Trent. Hernan Gomez, 34 minutes. That is a big number for Hernan Gomez. Wow. 33 for Flynn, 31 for Young, 28 for Boucher, 15 Koloko, 15 Doughton, and 10 for Birch. Man, if we get 34 Hernan Gomez minutes, that's exciting at 3.6K. I think there's a little bit of fragility in that because I could see Boucher overtaking him at some point. But okay. Wait to see who starts. But as of right now, those are the guys that are going to pop. Malachi Flynn especially. What else are we doing here? We're done with it. We're done with the last game. Okay, New Orleans and San Antonio. 230.5 is the total. San Antonio, 7-point dog here at home. Popovich playing games with us all weekend long with the hokey pokey, this guy in, this guy out, this guy in, screwing people over every single day. I don't know if he's playing games or not today, but Pirtle has been ruled in. Josh Richardson, Zach Collins are not playing basketball tonight. They are the worst defensive team. New Orleans has a really good offense. The problem with New Orleans is it's too good and there's too many good players. Therefore, that pecan pie gets cut up way too many pieces. Trey Murphy's doubtful officially. I don't know what to do here. I like the New Orleans guys when they're out there to crush. Again, San Antonio, awful offense. I just don't know if we're going to get full crushing capacity. Is San Antonio going to punch back? Are we going to get enough minutes out of Zion? He never seems to play like more than 31. And Larry Nance can do his thing against the San Antonio team as well off the bench. Again, if it's a mop-up thing, he gets kicked off the court for mopping up. All of a sudden, the real Bo Cruz, Willie Hernan Gomez, comes in. New Orleans and San Antonio. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so San Antonio, I don't feel like they've given up, but I do feel like this is a team where if the Pelicans can kind of get off to a good start, at some point Pop's going to throw in the towel, and you'll see Keita Bates-Diop and Dougie McBuckets and Langford and Georgie Jang. Like, these guys will be on the floor to finish out the rotation of the night. So now look, the Spurs are at home, and this is a professional basketball team, despite how some may feel about it. And we cannot predict the blowout. But in terms of Zion, I don't think Zion plays more than 30 minutes tonight. I don't see that happening, Dean.
Hey, let me cut you off real quick just to let people know,
Sure.
because Eric in chat reminded me. Jason reminded me in chat. 3 minutes to get the giveaway. If you want to get 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium, we're giving away 2 individual 1 week free. Go to rotogrinders.com/Discord. You go to the live stream chat channel. Some channels are free. Some channels are not free. This is a free channel. There's a thing that says 1 week of combo RG Premium. Enter here. Big green button. Click the enter button. You'll win yourself a chance. We got a chance to get yourself 1 week free, but I want to make sure people get in on it. There is less than 2 minutes now. But wait, was the real Bo Cruz Juancho? And did I get my Hernan Gomez's mixed up? Daniel, I think you're right. Yeah, I think Bo.
No, the real Bo. Yeah, Juancho was Bo Cruz. I thought you were just being funny in terms of a reference.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I got it mixed up. My Hernan Gomez.
Yeah. Juancho was Bo Cruz.
Gomez. Hernan Gomez. I confused those two. My apologies.
And Tobias Harris was in that movie as well, which was, he played a very minor, went out to the Bo Cruz, a street ball show. Bo Cruz out there in boots playing around, so yeah.
He's boys with Boban apparently in real life. I want those two to get a reality show. But you
Have you seen the goldfish commercial? Where he needs a tiny hand. Okay. Tiny handful.
Goldfish suck, but I like the commercial. I know it's a hot take, but
that's what it's about. It's just about the commercial, not about the cookie. We're not going to get into goldfish cookies tonight. We'll save that for next week, Dean.
You were saying, and I cut you off, but I wanted the people to know so they can get into the contest. What were you in the middle of talking about? I apologize. New Orleans and San Antonio.
Oh, yeah. It was just New Orleans. Just me saying I didn't think Zion was going to play. I didn't think Zion was going to play 30 minutes. I don't think he's there. All these guys, I think, are priced where they should be. JV is at 5,600. Like, that feels yucky, but a guy like JV and John, like, I'm willing to take a couple shots here at those prices, Dean. You get what I'm saying? Like, those prices. It's not about how good they've been performing recently. It's the prices they're at compared to their upside. So I don't mind a little bit of JV sprinkled in there.
Nobody getting any ownership in this game, which is, again, New Orleans. I feel like one of these guys is going to smash, but it's just hard to see them all get there because they're too good and they all got to play. Like, their back five is better than some teams' front five. I saw somebody in chat mentioning Jose Alvarado, and dude, what a pest, man. I would hate playing against him. He's so annoying. He hides in the corner. I don't know if you've seen this. He's done this several times this year. When the other team's inbounding the ball, he'll hide in the corner and, like, sneak up behind the guy and steal it from behind. Done it multiple times. I can't remember who did that in years past. I want to say maybe JJ Barea did that. But Alvarado is just – I love the guy who's on your team, but he's one of those guys you would hate to play against. He's annoying. Love his attitude, and the guy gets everything out of whatever he has athletically. And I think he got a nice little contract too, so good for him. Because he was on the fringe.
Speaking of which, Dean – yeah, sorry about that. Speaking of which, Dean – I was watching a clip today on my phone because my internet wasn't working, so I had to sit on my phone if I want to do anything because I don't have actual cable. I have streaming service, which is YouTube TV, and if your internet's down, newsflash, folks, you can't watch it on your actual television. You have to watch it on your phone. So I really kind of unplugged today, but I did have my phone temporarily, and I was looking at some of the best trick plays in like NFL and like in football history. And this is one I forgot about until I saw it. I don't know if you remember this one, but it was the Kansas Jayhawks. The guy laid down in the end zone.
Do you remember this? Yes.
Because the jerseys were the same color and nobody actually saw him. Now, it only picked up yards, but I mean, just clever, very clever. Playing there by the Kansas Jayhawks. I thought that was super cool. I had forgotten about it until I saw it. I was like, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, who's it? Boise State has that illegal field where it's like blue, and like their uniforms are blue, and it's really hard to beat them because like they blend in with the field, and yeah, we don't have time to get in and all that, but that seems illegal. But okay, whatever. I don't care. It's fun, I suppose. We're done with New Orleans and San Antonio, I believe. Yes.
Yes, done.
We're making good time, by the way, for the record. 3 games left. Crunch time crew coming in about 15 minutes or so. TJ, if we don't get likes from you, TJ will be very upset. But he's gonna he's gonna make sure to let you guys know he's probably gives a better sales pitch, and he'll give you whatever the equivalent of a Spidey bomb is for basketball. I'm not really sure what that is. I believe Keith and Andre are also going to be on board. Shout out, we got a couple winners. Bone0315, RG producer Devin will contact you, let you know. You won yourself 1 week free, and he'll juice you up. I'll get you that week, as well as TJK 2023. So congrats to both of you. All right, 3 games left, 3 games down. Next one, I believe it's another 8 o'clock game, right? Oh, it's another game we can't talk about. Denver and OKC, 229 is the total here. The rundown as far as the Denver body parts. Let's scroll to my notes. So they came back last night on the front end of a back-to-back. Nikola Jokic came in and absolutely annihilated the world. He was incredible. Unfortunately, if you had him, you wished you had Anthony Davis instead, who smashed even harder. Michael Porter Jr., they gave him a heel, so he's questionable. Jamal Murray conditioning. Now, the conditioning is for Jokic and Murray. They both came back from COVID protocols. I don't know how to gauge that. Maybe my guess is they probably sit Murray because he's coming back from the ACL. He wasn't very good last night. It's just a guess, but I have no clue. Jokic, I would guess, plays, but again, who knows? Also, Bones Highland didn't play No, he was ill yesterday. He barely played, and now today he's out for illness. So, he probably just played ill yesterday. Just let the dude sit. I'm guessing it's the same illness, but he's out today with illness. Anyways, that just seems odd. OKC, we're expecting Poku is officially questionable, and that's Muscala's out for a bit with a finger. Who cares? I'm not playing these OKC fringe players on a 12-game slate. It's SGA. You can play Giddey. Yeah, it's Giddey, SGA, or bust. I don't think I'm going to get the door. That's where I'm at as far as OKC. In Denver, wait and see. But also, all these Denver guys are kind of priced up still for the previous issue of Murray and Jokic being out, so you're not getting any great bargains here. Bruce Brown, it probably gets a bump, but okay, great. Oh, he's 6'3". That's not a great Bruce Brown price. You're not. DeAndre Jordan's 4'3" for what it's worth, so I guess maybe, but he's also DeAndre Jordan, and the year is 2022. Denver and OKC, what do you got?
Yeah, man. I hope these guys sit. They're nice, but I doubt they will. If anybody sits, it's Murray, I think. But all in all, hasn't SGA just been incredible? I think SGA in tournaments all around is kind of where you go here. Jamal Murray being back is just going to crush Bruce Brown's share. So it's pretty much just SGA for me, man, and that's it.
I like Giddey too, but yeah, SGA is single-handedly killing whatever tanking dreams they had in OKC. They're not crushing, but I think they're 7-10. But that it wasn't part of the plan that SGA was taking this another big step forward. Fantasy points per minute this year, 1.44 on DK, 1.47 on Fanduel. That's just elite territory. Giddey really solid too, 1.13 on DK, 1.06 on Fanduel. Besides that, I don't think I have anybody in OKC. Almost definitely I'm not playing anybody in OKC. They're without a few pieces, but they still have, 12 guys available. And then sometimes they'll play those 12 guys, and sometimes they'll start different guys in the second half, and that's just what they do. And the Denver side, stay tuned. But I think Gordon's got a really good price at 5.6 on DK. I assume he's fine right now, and if some pieces get ruled out around him, he's even better. He came back from his illness yesterday. Otherwise, I got nothing else as far as this game. You want to move on?
Let's move on, my brother.
Kajana says, what is Bones being out open up? Not a lot, because Bones, when everybody's healthy, plays 15, 18 minutes, right? Maybe 20 minutes. So it doesn't really move the needle. It's not that big a deal. Now, if Murray was out, And then, and Bones is going to, no, now he's out too. I guess, they have like Christian Braun. KCP is, different. I'm just trying to think who else. If Bones is out and Murray's out, it'd be Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown will run the point. But he's 6'3", so that's just really hard to get, super excited about. He should be fine, but Bruce Brown at 6'3". Yeah. All right, Detroit and Utah. 233 is the total here. Utah, 12-point favorite. Detroit, back half of a back-to-back. Embarrassed the previously mentioned Denver Nuggets. They beat Denver last night, despite Denver getting all their pieces back essentially last night. Now Detroit's got to travel to Utah. Historically, we know about that never ends well. Usually doesn't end well when you hit Denver and Utah on back-to-backs, the elevation. I feel like Detroit gets crushed in this game is my only concern. 12-point dog here. The line reflects it. Sadiq Bey is not available. Alec Burks questionable for conditioning. Detroit's going to be playing games this year. Cunningham, of course, out for a while. Beef stew, no Isaiah Stewart. Utah fully healthy with the exception of Rudy Gay and Mike Connolly. It is the first blood, right? First blood revenge game, I believe, for Kelly Olynyk and Bojan Bogdanovic. This first time I'm reading this year, I believe so. Yes, sure. Why not? I love Kelly Olynyk at 5'2" versus Detroit. I like Bogdanovic as well. At 6'5" is a little bit pricey. I think he's got a better price on FanDuel. But where are you at as far as Detroit and Utah?
I feel like, so the prices are catching up now. Killian Hayes has been playing okay. The minutes have been there mostly. And then I think, so last night you saw him play 28 minutes, didn't score much, but the assists were there. Right as our projections anticipated. Shout out to our projections team and Bob that hangs out in the prop shop, because the books were on the under on Killian Hayes in terms of 5.5 assists. Bob and the projections team had Killian Hayes projected for around 7.5. And of course, Killian goes up there and gets 9 assists last night. Shout out to Bob and the projections team. Thank you guys for being freaking incredible and helping us prop players out for now and years to come. With that being said, don't want to play Killian Hayes at 5,600. Jaden Ivey's the one guy I want to play, and Bojan Bogdanovic. Outside of that, I'm pretty set. Alec Burks, I think, is sneaky.
He might not play. He's questionable.
No, I know, but I'm just saying if he plays, he's sneaky. Knox, maybe sneaky. Then you hop on over to the Utah side, of course, with Mike Conley sitting. Then got Laurie, and like those guys are in play. We got a really good projection on Kelly Olynyk today, for what it's worth, but also a big ownership projection.
Yeah,
the only reason I think I would play Kelly is that multi-positional flexibility on FanDuel, but Kelly Olynyk at 40% does not get me excited. Like, that's feeling like a fade for me. But that's just more of a ownership attack rather than what I think he's going to do. I think he's going to play fine, but man, 40% Kelly Olynyk, that's very scary, folks. Very scary.
He's a highly volatile player too. Just kind of seems to be all over the board. A lot of these Utah guys, to be fair, are highly volatile. You never really know who's going to close for Utah. I see somebody in chat's asking about Sexton. We're projecting Sexton to start with Clarkson and Markkanen and Vanderbilt and Olynyk. Don't be surprised if THT jumps in the starting lineup. Don't be surprised if THT plays 15 minutes. Beasley as well. It's just hard. It's hard to rely on some of these Utah guys. My favorite is Olynyk, but I don't love the ownership that he's getting. Price is really good on DK. I think our ownership's let me just refresh here. Yeah, we got 25% on Clarkson, almost 20% on Olynyk, 20% on Markkanen, 15% on Sexton at 4.4. And I've said it before, Beasley, as a general rule, I just don't like playing shooters that come off the bench that are solely reliant on shooting and making buckets. They can't really get there other ways. And if he's out there and he shoots, and he's not making his baskets, not only will he not get any fantasy points, they'll take him off the court pretty quickly too. Doesn't mean Beasley can't score 25, real life points in the bucket too. So I never really know how to handle those players. You obviously you catch them on the right night and they're usable, but their floors can be rough. Rank the Utah guys for because I like Clarkson at 6'9". It's weird at 6'9". It's usable what it is for sure. We're projecting almost 40 fantasy points for him tonight on DK. Detroit is the worst defense in the league. Actually, San Antonio, I think, is just a tick worse. They're both really bad. So, Utah should get whatever they want against Detroit. And if Detroit punches back, which I'm a little bit hesitant on that back half, back-to-back, tough game in Utah, I don't know what to do with this game, but I like a lot of pieces individually.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of how I am too. For what it's worth, I wish Marvin Bagley was playing 30 minutes at that price. Not that, he's some great player, but, he gets it done while he's out there. All right. I'm done.
I think they split Bagley and the rookie, the 18-year-old Jalen Duran. They let Duran close yesterday, but I'm pretty sure those two basically chopped the 48 minutes, right? Duran played 25 change, and let's see, Bagley played 22. They played. They had 3 seconds of overlap, it looks like, but they played 48 minutes in total. I saw in chat mentioning Kevin Knox. He's like, I mentioned Kevin Knox yesterday. I didn't say anything nice about him, I don't think. So he had a good game, but I didn't play him. I'm not taking credit for it. I mentioned he's in a uniform and he gets some run, but don't give me credit for that one. I didn't play him, and I probably didn't say anything like glowing.
I didn't say anything nice about him, Dean.
Yeah, I'm sure I guess he's a nice guy. I have no idea. I know nothing about Kevin Knox.
Dean, you're my guy, man.
He might be interesting because Goofy thinks Detroit on a back-to-back, and he's a mop-up guy as well. And if you think the game blows out, not completely insane, but again, there's no, we're projecting 15 fantasy points for him tonight. But if you want to bet the blowout stuff, if you're playing late game slates, maybe he's interesting as a differentiator. Let's talk about the Clippers and the Warriors. 223 is the total. The Warriors are 10-point favorites here. The big news for the Clippers. I hope you took a picture of Kawhi. He's out again. No Kawhi, no Paul George, no Luke Kennard, no Nard Dog. Golden State, everybody's back from their fake injuries, so they're full staff. I think the plays are better on FanDuel for the Clippers than they are on DK. Kind of when I was doing my rankings earlier today. Powell, kind of their sixth man. Maybe he jumps in the starting lineup, but I don't think so. Not that I'm saying you can't play him, but he's more of their sixth guy, but probably closes. Terrence Mann's really cheap. Marcus Morris, I think, is 4.9 on FanDuel. Come on, Marcus Morris on a 12-game slate, but in theory, it's a good math play. What are your thoughts as far as these Clippers? Because they're not going to get shut out. They got to score. They're all cheap.
I think they'll be okay in the end. Now, Golden State is at home. We've seen them struggle on the road mightily, Dean. Golden State, man, they've really struggled on the road this season. It's incredible. But at home, I'm expecting them to get a win tonight. Zubac is probably in play. Norman Powell's in play. John Wall, he's 6,100. Dean, I think he's kind of a tournament flyer for me because John Wall is a guy, I think, in this type of spot, even in limited minutes. What if John Wall gets 28 minutes tonight? Now, we haven't seen that, but we've seen him pick up 27 to 28 in certain spots. It's not a back-to-back, so and Kawhi and Paul George are out. John Wall is in, and maybe I'm being a little biased and hoping that we see John Wall turn back the clock like Kyle Lowry. But, I think if I'm playing one guy, it's Powell for sure. Powell's probably at the top of my list, and Marcus Morris in terms of FanDuel scoring and Zubac. And then for me, it's John Wall for sure. Don't hate Reggie Jackson at 5,500. He's another guy who's been shooting really well as of late. But he's definitely so he's added into the mix as well. But, my top would be Powell, Morris, Zubac, followed by Wall, and then Reggie Jackson. Because what Reggie Jackson can also do is disappear. And then on the Golden State side, Draymond at 58 is okay. Wiggins is okay. Clay at 6K is okay. Curry at 10.4 is just okay. I don't feel like I have to play anyone for what it's worth.
Yeah, this is the time where I say, hey, if Steph hits those 10 threes, my nights. I just rarely play big slate, everybody healthy on Golden State. They're all kind of priced where they should be. Curry especially, 10-8s. If he hits those threes, I'm going to bed. That's it. Metaphorically, I'm still going to be up. I'm not going to sleep. I'm a night owl, so I'll be firing up Netflix or something like that. Biggest ownership on DK is Terrence Mann, 16% currently. Morris, 13%. Powell, we're giving him 31 minutes, so we might be rejecting him to start. But again, stay tuned. We won't know that until after 10 games are played, for the record. And then, again, you could play him just fine. He's there. He's going to be their sixth man if he's not a starter. But yeah, Golden State, I'm just not going to have any, I don't think. If I do, it's because I pivoted off of something and I got trapped, and that was like my plan B or plan C. If I'm pivoting away from Detroit or Utah or something like that. But I got nothing else glowingly to say. For what it's worth, Wall did play 28 minutes in a game earlier this month. And he's been playing better of late, the assists especially. 8 and 15 his last two games. 22, 24. Yeah, 26 minutes on the 15th, 24 on the 12th. And we did see 28 on the 6th. So, yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know how much more he's going to get ramped up to, but if he plays 28 minutes, he's playable, sure. Otherwise, that is the slate. I think the crunch time crew should be here shortly.
I mean, right on time, too, Dean. That's perfect timing today, Dean. Just right on time.
Mr. Richard, I'm playing 4 single entry tournaments and 1 3-entry max on DK. Are there any must plays? I don't think he says Reed, Flynn. I don't think Reed's a must play. I like him. Don't think he's a must play. If Malachi Flynn starts, meh. I mean, look, if you're playing 4 lineups, like, should you have 1 Reed? I guess maybe. Should you have at least 1 of Flynn? Absolutely. You might lock in Flynn. I personally, if I'm playing 4 lineups, I'm going to have at least 1 of Trae Young. I like Kelly Olynyk a good bit. Who are your favorites? Like, do you have any must plays as far as this slate?
Malachi Flynn is probably the must play now that everybody's out. Like, I think that's your must play, Dean. And I think from there, you just kind of move along to who you feel like is going to give you, the best value and the most bang for your buck at the time. Shake Milton or DeAnthony Melton on FanDuel might be a must play, like maybe, but I definitely think it's Malachi Flynn.
I like Milton a little bit more just because of the salary. Jay in chat says Boucher is a must play. I wouldn't say he's a must play, but I would say he's a must in your tournament pool. If you're somebody that's making like 10 lineups, again, the worst thing is like when Boucher is out there doing his thing, and you kind of know it early. If you're watching, it's like, oh boy, it's going to be Boucher night. Other nights he can be a stone disaster. But if you don't have any of that, I'm curious to get TJ's thoughts. I imagine TJ, I hear some microphones dropping, pounding. Oh, maybe that's just yours. He'll be coming in momentarily. But TJ is he's a representative from Canada. I assume he knows his Toronto team fairly well. Poku, by the way, available to play tonight. Alexei Pokushevsky is good to go. TJ, I think I see you lurking. I see you jumping in here. Your Toronto Raptors. Do you agree with our starting lineup projection as of right now? We got let's see. We're starting Malachi Flynn, Trent Anunoby, Juancho Hernan Gomez, aka Bo Cruz, and then Rad Thad Young. Are you on board with that? And I'm sure you'll give it at some point, but I'm curious what your take is as far as Boucher.
I think Boucher, it's like you said, he's solid in a tournament pool, but at the price that he's at right now, I don't think he's some kind of lock in your lineups and load play. Like, I'd rather, like, Flynn is the kind of walk button play for me from that team. Yeah. I'm a little bit nervous with Gary Trent just because he hasn't been playing. And so typically just because he's a Raptor, like, I wouldn't worry about it. They're just going to probably throw him back in for 35, 40 minutes. But because he's picking up so much ownership on a 12-game slate, a guy like Gary Trent, who's quite shooting dependent, that ownership worries me a little bit. So I kind of view it as Flynn as good chalk, Trent as worrisome chalk. I think that's the likely starting lineup we get, but I also think it's possible that somebody like Koloko goes in over Juancho, or Malachi Flynn doesn't even start and they throw Gary Trent in there at the 1, just something like that. But Boucher, I don't think is some lock and load play, but I do think he's like definitely somebody you keep in your tournament pool.
Well, you'd still play, even if we see Flynn not starting and Hernan Gomez not starting. They're still in your pool, I assume.
Yeah, especially Flynn.
Yeah. But a good matchup for Trent. Brooklyn yields the third most three-pointers made. You're right about Trent, though. He's just been – feels like he's not been himself this year. Just overall, it's been like kind of a down year for him. I don't know if he's been dealing with injuries. I know he was sick not too long ago. But I think recently he was sick, right? But – yeah, that's a tricky one. But if he's playing, I assume he's fine. What else can we assume? Andre, what's going on? Is there somebody else jumping in? Let me pull up the video. I apologize. Oh, and there's Keith. Who's running this shindig? Who's hosting this bad boy?
I suppose I am pretending to be Kevin Roth today.
By the way, Tyler Hero in from Miami. I'm not sure if you guys saw that.
Hey, brothers, just so you guys know, my son's got a basketball tournament, and he's got to be there by 7 o'clock Eastern, and it's 6:26. Love everybody. I'm going to excuse myself as we do the handoff.
Good luck.
He's actually playing a team that I played back when I played in high school, so I'm very interested to see how this goes. I'm hitting the X button right now. Love y'all. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Good luck. Good luck to your son. Have a good time. Happy Thanksgiving as well. I'm going to see myself out as well. My usage is off the charts for the first hour and a half. I'm going to go ahead and take a break and hang out with Tony Snell and go back down to 0. Keith, this is your show. Andre, TJ, get those likes up. I don't know what I'm just not good at groveling and begging. I don't do it well. You're much better at that than I am. Feel free to get the people to hit that like button. But everybody out there, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Win some money tonight in basketball. Keith, it's your show. Go for it.
All right, first timer here on Crunch Time. So welcome to FanDuel sponsored Crunch Time. Make sure that you are entering the FanDuel single entry series here for NFL. Don't forget to reserve your entry at $5, $33, or $100 tier and get in on the action for our weekly and seasonal prizes. Shout out to the winners after the first week. We had Ledette SFO in first, TF3TC in second, and Puckrat in third. So congratulations to the winners. You can also sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state and take advantage of their awesome Thanksgiving offer. Bet $5 and get $125. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, so we've got a massive 12-game slate here in the NBA. I've got a couple of the sharpest minds in the biz alongside with me. I've got TJ Zwarych over there. TJ, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Way to get that Kevin Roth line down pat on that one. Excited to be here. We got a huge slate. Some news we're still waiting for with this Denver situation. And we got some surprising Toronto news. We just got some of that Miami news that we were waiting for. So a lot that we've already gotten, a lot that we're still waiting for, and it should be a high scoring slate.
Absolutely. Tons of value out there. Still some news that we're waiting on. We'll get to that in just a minute. Also have Andre Alford alongside here to give us some tournament takes. Andre, how are you today?
I am doing pretty good. Just, another day in paradise, trying to get these bets and trying to make some money.
Sounds good. Sounds like a good plan to me. All right. So we are going to start over here with some FanDuel cash. And then we will let I think TJ, you're handling cash. Is that correct? I didn't clear that with you guys first, but
yes, it is. I'm going to do my best to handle cash, stay on the pulse, and do my best Andy Means impression.
All right, very good. A couple of fill-ins here over the holiday week. I think we've got a good handle on the slate, though. We should be able to break it down pretty well for you guys. If you just want to give a quick overview, you mentioned the Toronto news already. Obviously, some news in Denver there that we're still waiting on, but just a big picture view of the slate.
So big picture, the biggest thing is like we just got so much opening up with this Toronto news. Like we're going to be playing probably 3 of them in cash games today, at least 2 of them on both sites. And so that's the biggest thing that we got to keep in mind. And then the other places we've been looking are some of the later games. We got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George out opening up the Clippers. We have what's this other one as well? Oh, and Utah with Mike Conley out in a great matchup. They're projecting very well also. So that's mostly where we're looking for cash games today. And I think the toughest decision for us is going to be, where do we want to spend up and use up all of our salary now that we got all of this value? On FanDuel, which we'll talk about first, I think the answer is Nikola Jokic if he plays, but we still don't know if Nikola Jokic is going to be playing, which is tough because the other cash game center we're probably looking at may even be somebody like Paul Reed is in the discussion as well, and so he's more of a DraftKings only play. But I do like him for tournaments in FanDuel as well. It's just kind of tough with you're going to probably want to play an underpriced Jokic at that spot.
Let me just interrupt you here. We got some Washington news coming in. Bradley Beal has been ruled out. Monte Morris has been ruled out. Rui Hachimura has been ruled out. Does that affect anything? I know we already have some excellent Toronto value, but looks like we may have some Washington value opening up as well as we get the show started here.
All right, first time handling the cash portion of Crunch Time where stuff hits the fan on the show. So we should have Keith. If you don't mind handling the screen share here, that would be fantastic, and we'll get this up. And so I think Bradley Beal and Monte Morris being out, that opens the door for Jordan Goodwin to become a very strong guard play. Guys like Will Barton, Corey Kispert, both pop into the conversation as well. And so I think they'll likely be more tournament-only options, maybe except for Jordan Goodman. We're going to have to see where this projection pops up when we get an update here. But I think they're more than likely, outside of maybe Jordan Goodwin, only going to be in the tournament discussion. But we got so much going on. I think it's time to just start going position by position here. Cut me off if there's news, and if not, I'm just going to keep going until we kind of cover all of it on FanDuel here. So we got Allen's core plays, Malachi Flynn, Jordan Clarkson, and Marcus Morris. All great core plays. I am going to be interested to see where Goodwin's projection is here, though, because if we're going to end up projecting him for like 30 minutes or something like that, it might be interesting to sub in Jordan Goodwin for Jordan Clarkson at the point guard position here. And we probably may not need somebody like Clarkson because it'll turn into even more of a stars and scrubsy space than we've already had. So we'll leave Clarkson in there for now. And then we will just kind of see where things go from there. So at the guard position, Flynn and Clarkson are the two guys right now that are the highest RG values. Gary Trent Jr. is somebody you can use at the shooting guard position, but I think I'd rather play him at small forward. I honestly don't think you need the Juancho Hernan-Gomez type value in cash games today. The Trey Mans, I don't think that's a place we need to go, because on FanDuel we just have so much salary to spend. So at this stage I'm kind of going out of order here, but at this stage, I think I kind of want to lock in Giannis Antetokounmpo in cash games, just based on we have so much salary and I don't know what else to do with it if we're not going to play Giannis. Now, I was
going to ask you about that, because that allows you some time. If you want to play Jokic, you can get some news hopefully before Giannis locks and maybe make some pivots later. So I think that plugging in Giannis right now is a good way to go.
I think Giannis has to be our placeholder with Nikola Jokic as the guy that it becomes our primary spend up if he plays. And then if he doesn't, that's where things get tougher, because yes, you could play somebody like Luka, but I think Giannis is probably going to be our cash game guy. And then our next spends for cash games, I think, are going to be looking at guys like Trae Young and Tyrese Halliburton. So Young and Halliburton, I think you're looking at in this point guard position here. The good thing about Trae Young is he starts at 7:30, so it does give you a little bit more time on that Denver news as well, whereas Tyrese Halliburton walks in that position. So because of that, I think I would rather go with Trae Young here. The only person I think I would want to lock in from this game, from this early slate of games in cash games, for me, would be DeAnthony Melton. And now you don't have to. If you don't want to play DeAnthony Melton, you would just rather play somebody else there. I think that is A-okay. But for me, DeAnthony Melton would be the guy that I would want to make sure I would get into my cash game lineups. And then at the small forward position, we have Gary Trent, who we talked about. I like him quite a bit. Lauri Markkanen, I think, is a strong play. We have Marcus Morris tagged, who you can play at the small forward position or power forward position. And Norman Powell is in a phenomenal spot, and he's a great cash game play as well. I think those are the guys that you're choosing between. I don't think you need the Wancho salary, but if you land on it and you disagree, then I think that's fine. Boyan Bogdanovic, you land on him. I don't think that's terrible. But for me, I'm looking at Trent, I'm looking at Markkanen, and I'm looking at Powell or Giannis in this spot as the guys I want to go with there. Power forward, Marcus Morris is the priority alongside with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Kelly Olynyk, I do think, is a strong option, but for cash games, he does kind of scare me just with somebody who's as volatile and foul prone as he is. It's a revenge spot. He's got a super high ceiling. It should be a good game for him, but he does worry me a little bit for cash games, which is why I prioritize the likes of Morris and Giannis more. However, if we were to find out that Jokic is in, that would be where I would be pivoting up to Jokic at the center position and maybe be fine with playing somebody like a Kelly Olynyk at the power forward position, just swapping back and forth Jokic and Giannis.
Jokic will play, and then Michael Porter Jr. and Murray are both out.
All right, so Nikola Jokic is now the top spend-up option on the slate. Going back and redoing things here, I don't think that it's a must to play Giannis Antetokounmpo in cash anymore. Nikola Jokic is an absolute core play. He is, I think, the priority spend-up. If you find you want to pay up for Giannis and Jokic, you can start looking at some of those guys like Juancho Hernan-Gomez that we talked about maybe weren't as viable. I think they are viable now. So for me personally, if we just sort by RG value here, these are the top 5 guys are the top 5 guys I want to start with my cash games. I'm looking at $7K each per player. If I want to go stars and scrubsy with Giannis and Juancho, that is A-okay. Or I can look at guys like Trae Young and fill out my lineup with the Kelly Olynyks, Norman Powell's as well.
All right, good stuff. A lot to digest there. I do have one eye on the projections chat as well. We are going to project Jordan Goodwin to start, so he probably will be popping here once those projections come through. Are you prioritizing Goodwin, or you think there's enough value with Toronto? You want to wait and see where that, like, just make a mental note of that to kind of revisit. What's his price on FanDuel? I did not even check that.
His price on FanDuel is 4.6K, so it is very dependent on the projection and the minutes we're going to get for him. For me, because if he starts and we're projecting him at 30 minutes and he's projecting for 30 fantasy points, if he's projecting for 30 fantasy points, then yeah, I think he becomes a core play there in this position, which means you could kind of remove the Jordan Goodwins from, the Jordan Clarksons from the necessary musts in cash games. Still great plays, but maybe not the lock that they once was if you want to pay up at those positions. So I think it's Flynn, Goodwin, Morris, and Jokic as our main priorities. And then likely we're probably going to want to look at guys like maybe a Gary Trent in there at the small forward position as well.
All right, good deal. Certainly no shortage of value. Just a quick note on the other Denver value. It's looking like possibly Zeke Naji will be who we're projecting to start. Probably not too much interest from me in the Denver value for cash games. Just make Jokic the priority and go from there. You agree with that, TJ, or do you have interest in some of the secondary Denver guys?
Oh, there's just so much darn value on this slate. Like,
you know what? Let's
we gotta love Bruce Brown now too, do we not? Like,
yeah, I think we do. Let's go ahead and take a couple minutes. Let the projections come through. Maybe we'll jump back over and revisit this real quick. But we should be getting a projections update here in the next couple of minutes. So that will clarify some things for us, because I honestly couldn't tell you who the better value is right now between somebody like Bruce Brown and Jordan Goodwin. So definitely we'll want to take a look at the projections. But in tournaments where we can move away from projections just a little bit, Andre, how are you handling the value that we already have here? Are you locking in games here to start, or are you kind of waiting on some of this stuff? I think we have the majority of the big news that we were waiting on now. But who are you liking today for tournaments?
Yeah, I was going to play one lineup. I can't do that no more. I have to play like it's because there's so many different ways I think it can go tonight. I think you can have a balanced build that wins, and then you can have a stars and scrubs that could win, or then you have a little bit of a mixture of both. But Jokic being pretty much the top spender, the top play on FanDuel at 10-5, he's too cheap. So I like Jokic in the spot, especially with no Murray and no Michael Porter Jr. So it's going to be the Jokic. The MVP Jokic of how we saw the last 2 years. So I love Jokic. I think he's the top play. I like Shai a lot. I know you have him tagged. He is a fantastic play. Like 16% is not enough ownership on him. I think we should be well over the field on him. I think he's someone that's gonna have a good game, and it's gonna be a competitive game in order for them to win. So we can see him have another 30-point game hopefully, and then some. So Shai will be a priority along with Josh Giddey. I think those two guys you can look at in tournaments a lot. I do like getting a little bit to Tyrese Halliburton here in this spot as well. 9.4 is expensive, but I will also run it back with some Minnesota guys. And then I do like Steph Curry. I don't mind taking a shot at Steph Curry at 10-4 if you want to spend up and get different and get off of like the playing Luka, because Luka's 12K, which is expensive, but Steph Curry, Clippers are going to be without everyone, but they still always find a way to be competitive, and also the Warriors. I feel like the Warriors have just been playing down to their competition. So he is someone that I would love to have in tournaments and running back. And you don't even have to run it back with anyone on the other side, but I think he's a good tournament play. I also do like Melton and Shake Milton as well. I think Melton, though, would be more of the priority because he's been scoring well in that game. And Charlotte's going to be probably a little bit more up tempo than I think than what the total was insinuating, but I could be completely wrong. I also so I'm going to like shooting guard, small forward. Sorry, I'm going like a little mixing it up here and there with it. With Bradley Beal being out, we got that news just a little while ago too. I think Monte Morris is out as well. There's going to be more value. I think that opens up for Washington.
Yeah, question in the chat about Porzingis or Kuzma. Any interest there? As far as I don't think quite for cash, we have so much value there. I think it's going to be very stars and scrubsy for cash. But for tournaments, I think those guys are going to grade out as really good plays and may not catch as much ownership with the late breaking news.
Exactly. I love both those guys too. They are top plays. And honestly, I don't even mind running it with Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo in the mini game set. That last time the game went to went to overtime, and it was still close without any of these guys playing. So I like the spot for them. I also think Will Barton is an interesting play too as well. I think Rui is also out, if I'm correct. So that's another less amount of guys. Will Barton has to get the minutes at some point. 4,700 is too cheap for what his upside can present on the slate. So he's someone I would definitely have a lot of interest in, especially if he finds his way into the starting lineup or playing a lot more minutes. So he's someone I would kind of target a little bit as well. I mentioned Tyler Hero. I'll move on to small forward. Small forward, shooting guard a little bit, and power forward, but I like Anthony Edwards a lot. I think he's a fantastic play here. 7-8, his price is going up a little bit, but it's still a good matchup, I think, against Indiana. So he's someone I wouldn't try to get to in tournaments. These Toronto guys are really, really cheap. I mean, it's hard to want to fade Gary Trent at 5-5, especially against a Brooklyn team that just gives it up everywhere. They're not good defensively. So I would, if you're making 150, I think you definitely need to have him. I know it's his first game back, but if they're saying he's a go and he's good to play, he's probably gonna be out there 30 minutes. So and be out there all he can handle. So and what he does in those 30 minutes is up to him. But I know he's a streaky player, but I think he's a fine tournament play as well. I would like TJ said, I probably wouldn't make him the most popular tournament play. I kind of Tobias is priced up here at 8.4K, but I do kind of like him in this spot going against Charlotte. They also struggle against big, so he's someone I don't mind taking some shots on as well. Laurie Marketing, he's just been all playing at an all-star level lately. He's someone we have to pay attention to and play in tournaments. I don't think we haven't predicted at 26%. I think he'll come in less than that, especially with all this news that's coming out. So I think he's a fantastic play as well. And yeah, like I mentioned before, Kristaps Porzingis, I think you use a power forward center, excellent play. Bam Adebayo, excellent play. Just if you wanted to get off of Jokic, those are the guys I would mainly try to use to get off Jokic. Or if you can't, or since they're power forward center, you can pair them together. And I think that's a fantastic combo as well.
Very good stuff. I agree with you. Philly is a team that I think they've been projecting well all day, but they may get kind of lost in the shuffle now with all of the value that we have out here. They're still going to play huge minutes in a phenomenal matchup against Charlotte. So I like those Philly guys as well. Love your call on marketing, but we are getting short on time here. So let's go ahead and kick it over to DK. TJ, give us some thoughts on DK Cash.
So Ish Smith just confirmed ruled out as well. So that means Bruce Brown.
Yeah, Bruce Brown's going to pop for sure.
He's probably going to he's going to have to play 40 plus minutes in this spot.
Oh my God.
And so I think for now, until the projections update, I'm going to go ahead and tag Bruce Brown here as well. And so switching it over to DraftKings. I guess I already had him tagged on Fanduel, so that is good. But for me personally, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull up Bruce Brown. He's a little bit more expensive on DK, but he has that small forward eligibility, and I think he's going to be a must. These are going to be my 5 core tags for cash: Malachi Flynn, Goodwin, Brown, Reed, and Jokic. Now, that seems crazy looking at the ownerships on those because they haven't updated yet for the news, but Paul Reed is still too cheap. He's not starting. He just has he just has a 10 to 15x upside against a Charlotte team that is horrific against bigs. He could close if this game is close. He could close if this is a blowout. I think Paul Reed is still a must, even with all the value that's opened up in cash. Nikola Jokic is somebody I want to get to as well. Malachi Flynn is somebody I think we need, and Goodwin is somebody I think we need. Let's see what we got his projection here for. We don't have that one updated. Man. We only have updated for Denver.
More news.
More news. What do we got?
CJ McCollum has been rolled out.
Jose Alvarado will be interesting for tournaments. And
so what's his price compared to like a Malachi Flynn?
On DraftKings, he's $3,900.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alvarado is going to be projecting pretty close to Malachi Flynn.
I love Brandon Ingram.
Brandon Ingram becomes a great tournament play. The thing, like these updates haven't, I'm refreshing and these updates aren't cooking for me yet. It'd be nice to see that to really be able to prioritize. There we go. So Jordan Goodwin now projected for 28 points. So we're probably going to see Alvarado as similarly projected to these two. He's a phenomenal tournament play.
What's Flynn's minutes there are 33. I don't know that Alvarado will play 33, probably 28 to 30 if I had to guess for Alvarado.
I agree. And so I'm thinking he's going to be more of a tournament play as opposed to a cash game play. Yep. With this other news we see Aaron Gordon obviously popping as well. He's very cheap on DraftKings, over $1,000 cheaper than he is on FanDuel. I think we also have to, I think Paul Reed is still a spot. Nikola Jokic is in play. And then I'm honestly going to go ahead and tag. Where is he? Giannis Antetokounmpo is just maybe too expensive to tag. So this is going to be the 5. It's Goodwin, Flynn, Gordon, Reed, and Jokic. My next favorite plays to plug in here, the way I would prioritize it, are, for me personally, I think I would actually still prioritize Bruce Brown over a lot of these guys. What do we have him projected at now? Yeah, 35 fantasy points at 34 minutes. I could see him eclipsing that 34 minutes by quite a bit. Like I could see him playing low 40s in this one. So for me personally, I want to go Bruce Brown here. That's not what the projections say, and therefore I'm not going to keep it tagged. projections say Gary Trent Jr. or go super cheap to Juancho Hernan-Gomez, leading you to be able to pay up for somebody like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or a Giannis Antetokounmpo or maybe even Luka Doncic now, or Trae Young at that guard spot. But for me personally, I think I want Bruce Brown there. And then in the guard and forward, it depends on your build. You're either going super cheap with somebody like a Juancho, so you can pay up at the small forward, so you can pay up for Giannis there, or you're keeping it in the mid tier and picking guys like Trae Young, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Shake Milton, and Marcus Morris Sr.
All right, very good. We are about 9 minutes from lock here, so make sure you're getting those lineups adjusted. Andre, what is different in tournaments over here on DK real quick, and then we will take some questions here.
Pretty much everyone is going to be the same for me. How much is Jordan going? Oh, he's 4.6. That's why he's not popping on FanDuel. I wouldn't play me. Yeah, I wouldn't play him. Like, this is going to change a lot of ownership. So we already know it's going to be probably more of a stars and scrubs build. So my approach to tournaments, I'm just going to speak from a general perspective right now. I would go more like, just to get different in tournaments, going more of a balanced build with maybe one or two of these guys that you think is going to pop off and have a big game. Like for instance, I like Malachi. I'm high on Malachi Flynn. I'm high on a guy like Melton today. I'm high on these Washington Wizards guys. So guys, you want to go with some of these guys that are in position that they're not normally in to help give you that upside. And then pairing it maybe with one stud or one big guy if you can't fit them into your lineup, that gives you that upside. And to me, that would be a guy like Nikola Jokic, even on this slate. Lauri Markkanen is 8-1 on here. I still like him a lot. I like Jordan Clarkson as well. Paul Reed, yeah, he's too cheap, and he's going to play the minutes. They're going to split the minutes at center. I still don't mind taking a shot at Harrell as well, because it could just be it might just put on who has the hot hand or who's playing better. Will Barton is 3,200 against Miami. That is too cheap. His price needs to come up more. I mean his I think his projection his projection is at 22. I think he might get a little bit more, hopefully, but I think he's a fantastic GPP play. And if he's going to be at that ownership because this news is coming out late, I would be all over it. Bruce Brown too as well. His ownership probably is not going to move. You think his ownership is going to move a lot? Because I don't think so. With all this coming out, it's going to be hard.
I don't think so, but I want to say just quick, I think Will Barton is cash viable as well.
Yeah.
And maybe I think borderline cash preferred at the small forward position.
And then Shai, just play a lot of Shai. And I don't mind taking a shot like guys like Donovan Mitchell as well, who's been having a fantastic season against Portland, and it's going to be a competitive game against Portland, so I don't mind that as well. But Shai would be probably my top priority besides Jokic as a spend up.
All right, good stuff here. Just a note here, looks like we are working on getting an ownership update in there. Hopefully that comes through before lock. Looks like projections have all come through, so good. Should be in pretty good shape to build here, and hopefully ownership coming through in just a minute. Let's go ahead and get some questions here. I'm going to start in the RG NBA Discord, and if we have any time, we'll jump over to YouTube after that. Let's see. You got the Kuzma question. Bruce Brown. Yes, we love Bruce Brown. Let's see here. Arlo asks, seems like the DK, the only player worth starting in the 7 p.m. game is Reed. So I think that's more of a tournament thing for Andre. How are you handling Philly? Are you fading Philly completely outside of Reed, or are you still playing guys like Milton and Melton?
I like Melton a lot, so he's high on my list just in general. So he's someone I'm going to prioritize more than most.
For cash games, I think Reed is the only must, but for tournaments, like I agree with Dre, Milton and Melton, but then you got these guys in that Minnesota-Indiana game going overlooked too. Halliburton, Turner, Towns, Edwards, those guys. I think there's a lot of tournament viable players in that early start.
Yep, definitely agree with that. All right, TJ, for FanDuel cash, last piece, Ingram or Markkanen?
Ingram. I'm wondering if we have the exact same team. I personally just had a team where I was feeling good about it, and so how I'm running my lineup right now is I had to swap out. I swapped out Jordan Clarkson and Laurie Markkinen for Bruce Brown and Brandon Ingram.
All right. Andre, DKGPP, Giannis or Jokic?
Giannis or Jokic is going to be Jokic.
All right. Very good. Got one more question coming through. A couple people typing here. Give them just a second. Everybody's scrambling to readjust their lineups and waiting on uploads and things like that. All right. Arlo asks, DK Cash, last two landing on ABC and Powell. Can't fit in Morris at the forward spot. You like Powell for Cash?
That is no problem at all.
All right. Jump over to YouTube here, see if we've got anything coming in there. Let's see. DKGPP, Mitchell or Towns?
Mitchell or who?
Karl Anthony Towns.
Give me Towns.
All right. DKGPP coming right. Andre, Alvarado or Goodwin, last piece?
Alvarado.
All right. Who is the best Denver value?
On DK, it's Aaron Gordon, and on FanDuel, it's Nikola Jokic. Like, I know that's probably not what they meant by value, but like for point per dollar standpoint on FanDuel, it's Jokic.
Yep,
but if that's not what you
agree
mean,
with that, he should be. Yeah, I mean, Jokic is 10. We've seen him up around 12K before, so agree that the Jokic is absolutely value. And then I think you were going to give a cheaper guy also.
Like Bruce Brown in the mid range would probably be my favorite one, but like on FanDuel, I would run Jokic. If I was running 150 today, I'd have Jokic in all 150.
Very nice. All right, DK Cash, TJ, Aaron Gordon or Bruce Brown?
Aaron Gordon.
All right. Let's see here, flipping back and forth here. Looks like we are all caught up on questions. Surprisingly,
if it's salary is not a factor and you can afford Brown, play Bruce Brown over Gordon, but it's Gordon from a point per dollar standpoint.
So, who else do they have to handle the ball with Bones out, Murray out, and Ish Smith out? Bruce Brown might literally play the point guard the whole game. I agree with you. He can see 40 minutes in this spot. Yeah,
it's going to be Brown and Jokic.
Yeah.
Like that's how it's going to be. So,
I love the game.
All right,
I love the game stack. That game stack would be so beautiful right now. That whole game.
Absolutely. All right. DKGPP, Andre from Bazinga. Ingram, Curry, or Jokic, Anthony Edwards?
Ingram, Curry, Jokic, Anthony Edwards. Oh, God, that's tough. Give me Ingram. Give me Jokic. Give me Jokic, the second one. Sorry, I can't think straight.
Jokic and Ant is the answer there. Trae Young or SGA, DKGPP?
Trae Young or SGA all day. Lock button.
Same. DK Cash, Milton, BBJ, Gordon, or one Goodwin? Who's BBJ?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I don't know either.
Jr.
What was the first one again outside
Jr.
of BBJ?
Milton Gordon.
Yeah, I think
it's Bruce Brown. Milton Gordon.
That one.
First one.
Yeah.
All right. And it looks like we have hit the lock. That was a fun one there, guys. Lots of late breaking news. Expected late breaking news. Like a lot of times we'll have questionable tags that we're kind of planning for. We kind of just got there with unexpected news.
Yeah,
that was one of the first wild 12-game as we're locking slates of the year so far. Like we've had some big ones, but A lot of the big ones have been quiet. A lot of the small ones have been bigger, but we just had a wild one. We got over 300 people watching. Make sure you hit the like button for the free content we're giving you today. Dean did a terrible job, as per usual, of getting people to hit the like button. So we here on Crunch Time got to carry the slack, and that was just freaking wild. So help us out and hit the like button for us.
Yep, he says, damn it, my hands and fingers hurt. I completely agree. My mind is scrambled. I was working on my lineups while you guys were giving the people the advice. So that was a fun crunch time there. That is exactly what the show is all about. I think we did a pretty good job breaking it down. We got the necessary guys into our cash game lineup and rebuilt for some tournament stuff. I will probably go back and adjust I have no idea what I played. I just clicked some buttons.
Only played on FanDuel today because I knew. I only played on FanDuel today because I knew I was on crunch time, and so I just decided I'm not playing anybody in that first game because I need time to adjust.
That's a smart idea.
Hopefully, Charlotte doesn't go off.
Yeah, that's the other thing I would usually do in this situation is I'd make a little second team and do my early game stacks in that one, and but that's all right. We'll figure it out. We still got 30 minutes, and hopefully those first games don't just go too bonkers.
All right, we did get one more question in here on FanDuel GPP. I assume, can you play Giddey and SGA together if playing Jokic and Bruce Brown?
I am doing that right now.
Love it. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree all day long. Now that Jokic is popping as an awesome play because of Murray sitting as well. As MPJ, that's absolutely my favorite game stack of the evening. Aside has a question here for FanDuel Cash. Kelly O, Powell, or Aaron Gordon, man?
Kelly O and Powell by a lot.
All right, and last one will be from Gamble. FanDuel Cash, is Aaron Gordon okay?
Yeah, as a last piece, he's fine. Because of that price, I don't think he's a target, but as a last piece, he is more than okay.
Absolutely. Should play a ton of minutes there today. Thank you guys for being with us. I have some lineups to adjust. I don't know about you guys, but lots of slate still to play out here. But thank you for tuning in. This has been Crunch Time, and you all have been crunched.